Hello and welcome to the TechHub.training Python Little Chicken Challenge. In this challenge, I'm going to be stepping you through the code solution that I made and just explaining my thought process and how I came up with the solution. So here is the completed solution I have in this cell here, and if I just go ahead and run that by pressing Control Enter, you can see that I get the output down below here. Let me just scroll in actually. Zoom in a little bit, maybe that's easier to see. I have the solution here, so I have the before period and the after period, and then the various figures that we're interested in. And to explain this code, I'm just going to go ahead and I've broken the code up into smaller sections just to help explain it a little bit. So to get started, the first thing I do is I import the data and create the price expense variable. So from the challenge text, we know that the price of chicken or of selling chicken is $3.99, but the price of purchasing that chicken is only 99 cents, and then the cost of purchasing those drinks is also $1.59. So I just have those variables here. Here I use the code. I also include this code in the challenge itself, so you can just paste that in. But this assumes that you have already ran the import pandas as PD, a little call in there. And then when you run this, I've added the data frame here, it should pull the data frame for the information. So just so you don't have to link up the CSV yourself. So here we can see that there are two columns. We have the chicken sold and the drinks given. The chicken sold is equal to the number of pieces of chicken that are sold in any particular order. And then the drinks given is the number of bottles that are taken with each order. So we see that towards the end of the data set that there are a lot of NaN figures. NaN just means null. And these null figures are represented by 0 drinks given. So this indicates the before period where he had yet to purchase a mini fridge. So we can see that the before period is the bottom half of the dataset, and the top half would be inferred as the after period, or after the mini fridge was purchased. Moving on into the dataset. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to separate that before period of sales and the after period that I was talking about in this dataset here. So to do that, we have a number of variables, the before sales, the after sales, and the drinks given. And what we do is we simply call the data frame, this data frame here, we know it as df. And so what this code is saying is it's saying take the chicken sold column, which is this column here, and then give me all the chicken sold numbers where the value in the drinks given column here is null. And so that will give us this bottom half of the data set where this period is the before period because there are no drinks given because there is no mini fridge. And so the next section is doing the same thing, except it's saying give me the chicken sold numbers where the drinks given actually has a number. So this after period here. And then the final one is just asking for the drinks given numbers where there is a number. So ignoring the null value areas, it just wants the values where there is a number in the drinks given column. So if I run that, I can just show you roughly what that will give for the before sales. So you can see the before sales, we have, it starts at 100. This is row 100 and then goes down to row 199. But we're not interested in the particular row of the original data set. So here I have, if I just uncomment this, I have this reset index where if I run that again, see that the index has been reset. So now it's row 0, row 1, 2, 3, etc. down to 99. Now this is important because as we pull in this other data, such as after sales, so if I just pull the after sales instead, you'll see that it's already indexed from 0 to 99, and that's just related to the dataset itself. You see the after sales are going to be in those first 100 cells. So we're just trying to match that with the before sales. So I'll go ahead and uncomment this next section here. And the next thing I want to do is I want to add columns, these columns that I've just made here, and I want to put them into the actual data frame. So if I go ahead and add a df down here, and run that, you can see that I have combined those new lists of values to the original data set. So here you can see all this data is within the first 100 rows. But now that I have these three columns here, the before sales, after sales, and drinks given, I'm not too interested in the original two columns that we had. So the next code that I'll just comment out here, just like that. The next column, I want to remove those original data columns. So here I use the drop method. So I take the df, the data frame, and I drop the two columns from the original. And what this will do is it'll drop these two columns. But I also have what's called a drop NA that comes after that, because as you can see down here, we're going to have another 100 rows of NaN figures. And we're not interested in these NaN figures because then, like I said earlier, they're nulls, they're zeros, and we're only interested in the cells that have figures of value for us. So I put in the drop NaN here, and if I run that, you can see that it removes everything, and I only have the 100 rows of information for the three columns that I'm interested in. So now that I have the numbers that I need for the calculations, I can actually perform those calculations and then give an output for Tom. So to perform the calculations, I simply have a number of variables. So I have the total sales for the before period. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the sum function to sum up the before sales column. So it's just summing up every number in this column. And that total number is going to be the total number of pieces of chicken that are sold. So then I can times that by the chicken price. If you remember in the very first cell where we listed those values for the chicken price, the chicken expense, etc., I can just directly call those here and multiply them for the actual values. And so I do the same thing for the expenses, and then for the net income, I just I subtract the total expenses from the total sales because they're both positive figures. After that, I then do the same thing with the after period, the same as for the before period, except the only difference is for the total expenses. Now, in the before period, we didn't have to worry about drinks because there were no drinks to be given, but in the after period, there are drinks that are given. So instead, I take that sum of the after sales column, times it by the chicken expense, and then I also add on the sum of the drinks given here. So I sum up this column here, and then times that by the drinks expense, which is the $1.59. And that gives me the total expenses. After that, I'm ready to output my information. And so here I just use an f string to put some string text, and then I use a round function to just round up the values that I calculated just here to the second decimal place because they are currencies. And so if I just run this cell, then I get my output that I have at the start. Thanks for watching with Python. I know that there are a lot of different methods to accomplishing the same task, and so I'm always interested to see what sort of approach you took to accomplishing this challenge. Feel free to comment those on TechHub.training under the Challenge 2 Python challenge, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.